confused, depressed, or anxious due to the impact of COVID-19. If you or a loved one is in need of counseling, advice, or simply feel insecure or lonely, please call the National Family Services Division at 623-2608, extensions 6701 and 6707, or you may call the ministry's toll-free hotline at 800-1MSD. That's 800-1673. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, helping, empowering, transforming lives. This was a production of the Information Division, Office of the Prime Minister, Communications.
Good morning again. We're back with you. This is Forever Young, and right now we're going to welcome our guest, Miss Aniola Cox Olubode. Did I get it correctly now?
Correct.
Welcome to Forever Young. I know you're not of the age to be a Forever Young'un, but I welcome you anyway. Sometimes we have these special members that we welcome, but you normally have to be 55 years and over to be part of this. So we're going to be talking about family values with you representing the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services. Welcome again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Now, the concept of family values would vary, I think, depending on the society or the individual you're speaking to. However, there are some fundamentals that I think would be congruent with all of us. Would you say that?
Yes, certainly. I'm barely hearing you.
Okay, I will have to come a little closer to my instrument.
Yes.
Are you hearing me better now?
A little better. Yes,
okay.
Volume is a bit low. Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about what are some of the shared values that we have when we speak about family values.
Yes, and it's something that at National Family Services where we really love to share with all of our clients, because you see, at Family Services we really promote healthy family functioning, and we work towards building strong families. And in doing that, a lot of persons will ask, how? What are the strategies? And it's simply our family values. And oftentimes, a lot of persons would believe that or feel that they don't have any values, but that there are simple things like respect and love. And I'm going to go through a few of them this morning, to create that awareness so that family members will understand, but listen, we really do have values. It has nothing to do with where you live, your geographic location, or if you're a single parent, or you're co-parenting. Each family household has its value. Right? And I will start with respect. Oftentimes we think of these values like, it's nothing, or they are not as important, but they are. When we teach our children how to respect each other, respect the elders in the community and so forth, it helps, it shapes their mindset so that when they are also prepared to go out into society, even when they have their own families, simply among siblings, someone might own a red shirt and the other one might own a blue shirt. If you want to borrow your brother's shirt, it's not like you're just going to use it, tear it up and just throw it. You come and you ask, I have to go out today, I would like to use your own today, So from small, we teach them, and as I always emphasize, that from inception, family values must be put forward. Yeah?
You see me laughing here. Laughing here. I hear you talking about borrowing your brother's shirt and all them kind of things. Right? We didn't have borrowed brother's shirt, it was one shirt. Whoever was going out wore the shirt.
Okay, all right. Beautiful. So, we have different settings, different households. And it calls for, just don't abuse it. If it's one shirt we have, whoever going out first, you don't go and deface it and carry on and, your brother left without something to wear when it's his turn.
So you had a certain level of respect for each other.
Yes. And it's highly important at this time. And a lot of households, we lack these things. Also simple as honesty as another value. oftentimes it's so easy to tell lies. We may use something. We may try to get out of situations. And I often share with parents, we will tell our children, stop telling lies. Speak the truth. But then when you are doing something or you're in a situation, they hear how you are. So remember, we parents are the role models. And we have to set that. So we're not just by teaching, by talking, but it must be evident and carried out where we carry our everyday lives. Yeah?
So parents should not tell children, tell them I'm not home, because that's a lie.
Yes. Because you see, we think, well, it's, we have our own justification as parents. And when it comes to the children, you have to be in order. But then what are we teaching them? Oftentimes we confuse our children when we do these things. And remember, they won't remain children forever. Just now, they will be planning to go out into the world of work. And if that's the habit or the value that is formed from home, when they get out there, what's going to happen to society?
We
starts from home.
We hear always people talking about the fact that the society has changed and that young people don't have the respect that they used to have for adults or for the community or for the things of the community. How would you respond to that accusation of the modern environment?
Right. I cannot say it's clear cut across the board, but it's a fact. We see it happening, and it calls for a bit of it's evident where there's a breakdown in the parenting and the parenting style. So oftentimes, especially when you have parents that are so busy, the importance is on putting food on the table. But we lack in dealing with situations that would come up with at school and the community, and children are left to fend for themselves, want of a better term. All right? And so when they go, there's just no one to really to correct them, to guide them, because everybody's busy, especially if they're raised with daddy alone and mommy is not there, and daddy have to go out to work to get things, and they're left with a grandparent. Most times it's an older person that really cannot, work with them. The person just there seeing them, supervising in the sense of once you're inside by 6 or whatever. But we see the breakdown when there's not a lot of time or vested interest in the children's development. Again, when they grow older, this is what we see. Unless if someone, be it at the school or whoever, hold them together to kind of bring that change, to prevent any sort of negative behavior.
What would you say is the ministry's position, therefore, in terms of correcting this problem?
Right. So at National Family Services, we are a division in the ministry. So oftentimes, persons, when they hear our ministry, they think about social welfare. But National Family Services, we provide the counseling. Right? I always say we are the counseling arm of the ministry. So what normally happens is that sometimes parents, like on forums like this, they would hear about our services. When we have outreaches, they may have a copy of our brochure. So in time of need, or a friend may make a referral, or in worst case, when it goes to the court, it will be referred to us. And our responsibility now is to really treat with the information. Not so much, and most times, not so much you presenting problem what is presented before you. Oftentimes we have to go back. We have to go back to find out what was happening, what was not done. All right? What caused such a behavior that we're seeing now? So it really takes time to guide that person from the initial stage all the way to termination.
I'm liking. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying that our responsibility is really to really treat with the matter, providing that therapeutic support. And oftentimes we may have to network with other agencies to help. Depending on the situation, every case is different. We cannot just treat all the same. And we receive support from other ministries as well that would assist in the development.
And so I was going to ask you about the involvement of other ministries, and then you answered the question before I asked it.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think the nurturing of a society should be left to one organ one organization or to one person. We used to talk about the village growing the family back in the day. And we used to have respect for our neighbors, and they would have a responsible role in how we developed. But it seems as though we've lost part of that. How can we regain some of those attributes?
I believe in terms of what our ministry would normally do. So that when we have, as I said, when we have our outreaches, or we have forums like this is where we actually share, what it is we are about and what we want to achieve. So it's not so much about, you see, now we see parents they want to hide their business, they want to, and I'm not saying it's okay to be open out there, but you really want that support of the community. But when we have issues with the neighbor and so forth, we tend to say, don't talk to my child, don't correct my child, who are you? So, we start from there when we try to break down some things. But at National Family Services, when we have our workshops, we tend to teach these things to kind of bring back some of these things. Yes, we are evolving, we are growing as a society, but there's some critical things we should not neglect. Just as you said, a village raising a child. Now, back in my time, you walk in the street, you would say, Mr. Errol, you would say, Miss, whoever. Now, children either they passing you straight, or they're calling you by your first name. But we have to take that responsibility to bring it back, and not only so much as the ministry, but the parents. And when we have our parenting sessions, this is what we try to push back into society. To build that level of respect for the older ones and so forth in our communities and wider society.
Would you say, therefore, that the church must play a significant role, the religious organizations in this country must play a significant role in developing that whole ethos of people having respect for each other?
Yes, sir. I agree. You see, hearing it being repeated in different forums, it kind of pushed that drive for that change. So that all areas of society, be it the faith-based organizations, be it the school and so forth. So at home you're hearing the same thing. At school, at your church or wherever, you're hearing that coming out in terms of how we should live, how we should function as a society. So therefore, you eliminate the little loopholes because you're hearing the same thing as you're developing. You're hearing the same thing at different places that you would go or where you would spend your time. So it's critical that, as you said, for example, like the church, bringing that forward through like Sunday school or youth groups, different faith organizations have the different groups for youth that will actually teach the same thing. Again, that too helps society. So when I try to go out into the school now, it helps build that.
I like what I'm hearing.
It is critical. It is critical. Because when you look at an individual, there are different things, not just the government. You have your family, you have your faith-based organizations. And, an individual, they are part of different things in society. And it's a beautiful thing when you have all these different arms pumping the same thing with the same vision. It helps.
Now the ministry would do as you say, the counseling part of it. But are there any other instruments that the ministry would use in developing this understanding of our responsibility to each other in the family?
Yes. So within National Family Services, our division, we have our, for example, our parenting unit. And later on, before we close, I'm going to share in terms of our upcoming workshops, right? That would help men, parents on a whole in terms of parenting and so forth. So, as I said, when we have our workshops and our outreaches, this is what we do. That would help. So it's not just to come into the office behind four walls and we sit and we talk, and some of us, we are involved in different things. Some persons are in music therapy, art. I love drama. So, I tend to do a lot of role plays. So I get you in the position. I take your same scenario and show me what you could have done differently. All right? So we do different things. So it wouldn't just be talk and reading of a brochure. but you're bringing it live to them to actually remember we learn in different ways, we have different learning styles. Yeah, so it's critical for us to be creative and versatile. So yes, the individuals, in terms of the social workers, we possess different skills that would meet different clients based on their different needs.
Now, we're talking now, and we're sounding as if we're talking about growing up children. But does the ministry, as part of its thrust towards the family, involve itself in the workplace?
If the ministry, say it again, please.
Does the ministry have programs that would deal with behaviors in the workplace and behaviors in the rest of the society that goes around?
Yes, in terms of like workers, in terms of their development, yes, we have different, like from the human resource department and the communication department, they tend to, right now we have our VABS campaign about values and attitudes on the workplace. So sometimes I remember the first time when I saw it, it's like, if you miss it or you skip that stage of childhood, here you get a little crash course here in the adulthood, you're at your adult stage, because it actually teach you how to value things when your clients come before you. It's when it's individuals doing these counseling, so sometimes we may have some sort of pending hurt, as I call it, and even as an adult, when we see these little phrases, these little quotes coming in the morning from the ministry itself to encourage us as well, in terms of having a good day, having the right attitude to treat with our clients, in spite of what is happening in society, to keep your head up and go forward. So, we have these things in place as well. But
we seem yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was saying sometimes staff may come together and encourage each other as well. So we could kind of bounce off, we vent with each other to say, listen, oh gosh, this week was a real rough week. And it might just be a phone call, it might be a text, it might just say, well, we're in a pandemic now. Before, we might say at the end of the month, let's go to get something to eat to kind of distress, because self-care is important as well for us as workers. Yeah? Yes.
Now, we seem to be living longer. We seem to be living longer these days. I mean, this program is forever young. And we've had people call in this morning who were celebrating their birthdays. They were 82, they were 81, some 78. What is the role of the grandparents in this whole process, and how does the ministry treat with that?
The grandparents, I'm part of our parenting workshops. I am seeing some of them are part of it, because some of our grandparents are actually parenting some of our children. And it may be sometimes when some parents have migrated, it may be the death of their child, so they too are not excluded. But remember, especially sometimes you may have some of the 80s and the 70s, they're strong, and then we have some of them that have their different challenges, all right? And yet still, we still tend to pull support from the other family members, where the aunties and the cousins, to help, because we need so much granny or grandpa could do. Right? So again, to the ministry, when we have to do an intervention or a whole approach to the entire family, we just can't say, Granny, you have to do this. We have to take into consideration Granny may not be able to carry out her roles. She had her time in her back then, but now she still had that interest, because especially for the death of her child, she wants to, or he wants to assume that responsibility in that child, but they are limited, and we call forth the other members of the family to assist, not just in the finances, but to be there to comb the hair, to do the homework, because you work as Granny did back then. Granny can't do YX plus C. All right? So here, no, we really, really need the help. Else you're going to have the school social workers coming in and saying that the child homework is incomplete, they're not completing assignments. When you investigate, it's Granny the homemaker. So we call forth on the other family members to come together, because as social workers, we cannot sit in your house 24 to sit down with the children. So we have to encourage the others, all right, to bring this child up to standard.
I was speaking to a student just recently, and they were saying that they were being taught ethics as part of the school curriculum. Yes? What is this ministry's position, definition, or style of introducing that topic to the community?
to the community in terms of ethics. You see, because we want to bring forth, as I said, healthy families and well-rounded citizens. So in terms of, like for us, for example, as workers, we have to practice confidentiality. That's an ethical principle, that if somebody comes to us, not because I may know them from the street I grew up on, I have to go and say, hey, you know, X, Y, Z happening. No. So the same way we have to adhere to this principle, all right, of practicing confidentiality, is the same thing when we may be interviewing couples or children, whoever may come before us, in terms of having ethical standards and principles. You're kind of hammering on integrity, and you really, really want them to carry that through. And it's not just for yourself, but also to teach it to whoever come along your way. These things help build our society. So even in our sessions, as I said, in our workshop, it will come up from time to time.
Now, Trinidad is a country where, Trinidad and Tobago, I have to say, we're a republic where it's very easy to call names, to call people names, so that you see someone and you label them. You say broke a foot or something like that. How does the ministry now encourage us to make that change so that we see people with disabilities and recognize their abilities within that process?
Right. So within our ministry, I'm not sure if you're aware, we have our disability unit. So, we have the different terms. Long time you would hear people saying deaf and dumb. We don't use those terms. Who tell you that they are deaf, right? It's safe to use that. But people want to say, and they're differently able. No, they're not. So again, with the workshops and the outreaches, this is where we actually teach persons to adopt the correct terms and how to address them. And also that when you may see them bound to a wheel, you may see them on a wheelchair. That does not mean that they cannot study for an exam or work in a particular environment. I remember in my younger days in social work, and I volunteered with the Princess Elizabeth Home. And I had these students who were writing these exams, the national exams. But because of her condition, having the cerebral palsy and so forth, she was unable to hold the pencil to write. So all I had to do was just read the comprehension passage, answer the questions. She gave me the answer, and I wrote out the answer just as she said. And I said, nothing is wrong. With some of them, nothing is wrong up here. They may not be able to hold the pen. All right? But so of course, they will have different aids. And again, the ministry, is hammering on these things in terms of the care and the understanding of someone who would have disabilities.
Is there a push by the ministry to encourage corporate Trinidad and Tobago for the employment and utilization of the skills and abilities of persons with disabilities?
I am not sure in terms of that level if that is happening, but I do see sometimes. There was a few years ago we had someone who was working with us. Like for example, one of my practicum students. I can't remember the name of the condition, but her legs were like curved like this, so she had to use the prosthesis. Yes. And even though they are aware of her situation, she was still, and she graduated with first class honors. As I said, nothing is wrong up there. So even though they had, you had to do your brief interview and stuff, she was accepted. And now she works at another, not our ministry, but another social work organization. Right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Because she can sit and counsel, but this is not holding her back.
I remember years ago, the company I used to work for, we engaged the school for, it was then called the School for the Deaf in Cascade. And because of what we did, one of the students was employed with the Ministry of Finance, I think it was, as a typist. In this radio station, our sports analyst, Kern Tyson, is visually impaired. Yes. Yeah? And so I think there is a a greater understanding now of the value of everyone. But I know your ministry is doing a lot to push that whole idea. I know your ministry has engaged with the Ministry of Labor so that all of these things can be concertedly pushed and our society will change.
Yes.
I want to ask you though about help. You know, parents say, I have a child and the child is given trouble. What kind of assistance would the ministry give to a parent like that?
Right. So now maybe again we always invite them to either come to call in or to come in, you know, let's have our initial interview to hear what is happening. Right? Mm-hmm. And as I said, we treat everything by a case basis. So based on whatever that they share, we will know if it's a case that we would have to work on, or if the children's authority, because we have the children's authority on board right now. So oftentimes they give a lot of trouble, but sometimes when you tend to interview the child separate and the parent, we realize our primary contact, our primary client is really the parent in some cases. But we still have to treat everything accordingly. We give them a hearing, and so what you would know. Also, we have the student support services, especially when a child is school age. You know, you have your school social worker that's assigned to your school, and they too will do the counseling. But if we realize it's a whole family issue, it doesn't make sense having the child here, the mother here. So we treat everything as one unit. So this is where we will have the parents. As I said, we try to hear their side of the story and the child. So sometimes maybe a communication issue. It may be your parenting style or lack of, and so forth will be affecting the child, and they signal all the different behaviors coming out. You know, it's so easy to say, plenty trouble. But when they were younger, you know, we didn't really, some of us didn't take time to really grow with that child and know that child. Because I buy your books, you need that. You need food, you need clothes. But we lack some of the other values. Like that love for that child, love in action. Not only by your mouth, you say, I love you, baby. The love in action. You know, sometimes you may tend to wash the child clothes, all these things. Then we have 5-year-old over buckets scrubbing clothes. Come on, at 5. You know, these are some of the things that you will have to teach. Because our roles as social workers, you know, we have different roles and we have different skills. And oftentimes we find ourselves just putting away pen and paper and like we're in school, we're teaching. Because we realize when that person was a child, some things were missing. And I always make the statement, you can never give what you don't have. So if you didn't have that, you cannot give that to your own. And that's where we come in. It's not too late. It's not too late to learn, to teach that, to break that, to make that change. But you have to want it.
No, one would get the impression that the child is the one who needs to get all of this help, and the child is the one that you could do this for, and the child, and so on. The parents have to come to you to talk about the child. But can a child approach the ministry because there is a delinquent parent involved?
Yes, we have children with the calling, and they may call our hotlines. They may call the children authority, and especially if it goes to the authority, it would definitely come to us. All right. In some cases, I should say, sorry. So they, you know, in school, the different awareness are created, and at the school as well, as I said, but at the school social workers, they will reach out. They will tell you, and so they will come in this kind of creative way, like, you know, they don't want to come out and squeal on mommy and daddy, but they will say, miss, they kind of sing it off. You know, my daddy does, or my mommy, and you got to, when you kind of engage them some more, you realize something is happening there, and you kind of just turn a blind eye to it.
Are there numbers that people can call, students, children, parents, neighbors can call so that they can alert the ministry's arms that such and such is happening?
Yes. So we have our National Family Services number, the 623-2608, extension 6701 to 6710. And then we have the ministry hotline, 800-1673.
800-1673.
73. Yes.
Let's talk about domestic violence and the treatment that the ministry, in this unit that you're working with, the treatment that the ministry would deal with people who are in a situation where there is domestic violence on either side.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what normally happens with us now, in Trinidad, we have the gender-based violence unit and so forth, right? So persons tend to go there. But National Family Services, specific for our ministry, we get most of our domestic violence cases from the court. Mm-hmm. So persons now would report that, I was threatened, he hit me, I want somebody to talk to him and so forth. So the magistrate will make such a referral. All right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to us now, of course, we'll meet with them in most cases separately at first to find out what is happening. And then I tend to ask, where do we go from here? What do you want? In terms of, is it that you want to continue with this marriage, to build this relationship? You want to work on it? Especially when both parties says, yes, we get the thumbs up, then we work on our treatment plan. And in doing that, again, it takes time, because when you meet with the male, I need to find out from you, and we have to ask these questions, in terms of how were you socialized? What are some things that influence your behavior? I always say anger is an emotion just like happy and sad, but we need to control our feelings. So what are some of the things, what are your triggers? And then likewise the female, we need to find out why are you beating upon this man? What did you see growing up, Or most cases you may hear either parties were sexually abused when they were younger, they have witnessed domestic violence, or the community that they grow in, it was something that was very prevalent. And again, they exercise what they know. So when you're angry, when you're upset, it's the same thing, you're just dishing out. This is where we come in now. So after we gather all that information now, it's where we come up with different strategies, not us the workers, to collectively with the client, working towards moving from point A to point B based on your goal. If your goal is to keep this going, but then we have to visit your foundation. I often ask, tell me how you met, something simple as that. Mm-hmm. Or how come you all reached this far in the marriage? Tell me, how was it like? And then you may hear, well, she got pregnant, and we had to get married. Or you may hear, just by talking to her father, say, I want to talk in time to get married, and they didn't really take time to know each other. So what we have to do as workers now, I often tell my clients, pretend you're not married. Yes, you may have children. So things that I read, like you're missing your foundation. So now we are renovating now. I always use the analogy of a house. You're now rebuilding. So yes, the foundation was kind of rocky. Let's recreate something new, something different. In terms of trying to go out, where we get to know each other. Because who you were at 18, different at 35. The dreams has changed and so forth. So our work really is to really bring them back to that level, to carry them up.
What kind of encouragement does the ministry give to members of the community who may be observing domestic violence instances? What kind of training or what workshops does the community have? Yes,
because I remember we have, and due to the pandemic, we had none. I don't think we had any last year, and this year, of course. But in times past, we had lay responders workshop, where we had like an attorney, like a 1-week workshop. We have an attorney come in to explain what domestic violence is and the act and the procedures. So we had members of like police services and so forth, and other social workers. They were part of the training, to really teach and to encourage persons who had that interest in making a report how to do it well. Sometimes, we have such a good heart, a lot of compassion, and what we do, we open up our doors and we bring the victim in, and then the perpetrator coming in, and God forbid is butchered in your own home. You meant well, but the way you're kind of panicking away, or you're trying to put things into your own hands. And, so the training really was geared to the different steps, how to do it, how to report, in terms of the numbers to call, when they reach the police, this is where they will take it from there, the person, once they agree to go into a safe house, and so forth. So the training was really geared to show you how you can assist. not really just going up in the person's house and getting on in the perpetrator's face, because you're putting yourself in danger, but to really how to effectively work with this. And such training is very, very, very critical. I really can't wait for the pandemic to be over to get some of these training back on board.
In the past, the public complained about having visited certain institutions to express their position and bring complaints and so on. And the treatment they got, the reception they got in some institutions were a bit, not where it's supposed to be. Well, is the ministry working with other arms within our society now so that other organizations and other arms, I don't want to call names, can be brought up to speed in terms of how to respond to people with issues like that?
Okay, if you're talking about, like I said, internally within our ministry, I know we have had some training in terms of how, like, proper customer service and so forth. In terms of how we really, how to put it, intervene in client situation, how, you very well listen it, not just, Somebody would really pick up that you're not taking me on. So, we actually train staff in terms of being sensitive to other person's needs and their situations. We wouldn't shout and say, what you came to do today, no matter the way they look or the circumstances, everybody would have their pride, they would have, they have their personality. All right, and we treat all with respect. So I know internally we have had training in terms of how to treat with staff. Whenever we do workshops with persons who, as I said, like some of these NGOs and faith-based organizations that, would have children homes and so forth. I remember again in the past, we will actually do some kind of training because we have a lot of well-wishers, people who really, really want to get on board to do these things, but just don't know how to do it effectively. And this is where we come in again and we teach, all right, in terms of how to effectively do it.
What about other government departments? Do you do training in other government departments?
At times, as I said, based on the not so much the situation, but based on the different things that need to be addressed, we would normally do that. Or sometimes we would receive training from other organizations as well, which is important. And that builds networking, because we really need to network. Because sometimes we would realize that we may have a client who have severe mental issues. We don't have any psychologists on board on our side. So this is where we go to Ministry of Health, the partner of the psychiatric worker, to actually, work with that person. So it goes both ways.
And I know that you also, I'm getting a little feedback. I know that you also collaborate with NGOs. So how does the ministry treat with the NGO side of it? Like, I remember when I was with Junior Achievement, for instance, we had a camp in collaboration with the regiment, and your ministry worked with us on that. How does the ministry treat with other organizations like the Red Cross or cadets or other NGOs or FBOs in the society?
Right. So, but apart from training, because at times we will lend support and give them some training, but also if we have, especially what the NGO is treating with, we tend to work with them to assist us. So, for example, if we want to do a particular training, if we have a one-day camp or one-day workshop, we may call in somebody from the Red Cross to show us how to do a little first aid or what have you. So we tend to work together with them as well. See, again, it goes both ways there. They would receive support from us, and then we in turn receive support from them. Because sometimes when we have, if we have to do a placement of a child, I'm just saying, like in the past, some of these faith-based organizations, when they have their children's home and so forth, these are the person we will call on to assist. And then they will call on us as well to assist. Again, it goes both ways. Because they may have a workshop and they want a social worker to come in to address a particular issue, we will facilitate. It usually happens across the different communities.
This program has a lot of callers, so I'm wondering if we're capable this morning of accepting calls from the public. Are you willing to take some calls?
Yes.
Good. I'm sure the phone lines are always busy here. So I'm sure now that we've opened up our phone lines, I know Chris is going to let people know the number to call, and we'll open up the phone lines and see what responses we got.
And the number to call is 628-1981, 628-1981. Feel free to call us now.
Okay, we have no callers at this time, but I still have to ask you a couple of questions. Now, I remember coming through the airport some years ago. It was a critical time in my life. In fact, this week is the anniversary of all that happened. And the officer that I dealt with in a particular unit, her behavior left a lot to be desired. What kind of training would you give to departments that are first contact departments? I'm seeing a signal that we have a caller on the line, but so I'm going back to my question. But we have a caller on the line. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Hello? Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Hi, good morning.
Hello.
We're hearing you.
Right. With response to the children's authority, if it is related to that a child is exhibiting certain behaviors, the number to contact is 623-2608.
No, the number to contact, if it's children's authorities specifically, they have their hotline number, which is 996.
996.
I'm not sure if you heard me.
996. 996.
Authorities hotline number.
Okay, all right.
Reporting and so forth.
No, this is not for reporting. This is about seeking more information pertaining to my own child.
Okay. But if it's the authorities you want to go to, I said their number is 996. If it's through us at National Family Services, it's 623-268, extension 6701 to 6710.
Okay, so and I can call for further information to your department with this number.
Yes, you can. So I guess when you explain, if you call us and you explain, we will know as to where, where to direct you.
Okay, very time. Much time.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
We have another caller on the line.
Yep. Good morning. Hello?
Yes, good morning. We're hearing you.
Okay, nice. What the lady speak there, she all right, but I just want to say this thing. God, I believe in God. God said to us, don't spoil the rod and spoil the child. Why is it the government, why they take away discipline? I don't know nothing about capital punishment. I know about discipline. Why the government take away discipline from school? Why also the government take away, I'm not talking about brutalize your child. No, I'm not talking that. Why the government take away, you yourself cannot discipline your child? If these people been on the road and to hear what's going on the road, but you cannot talk everything and they don't keep a little meeting. No, I'm not against the lady. No, I am not. Right? But there are things that these people are supposed to know if they come and mix with the public. Because the generation today is different than we did. I have children and I try my best. And right now, I cannot give none of them know them. But everybody just blaming parents. But if you also hear how some children behaving to parents, it are children beating their parents.
Okay, listen on the line. We'll answer you because there are several layers of that question that you asked there. Would you take your first attempt on this, Miss?
Okay, I know he shared a number of things there in terms of the discipline and the punishment, right? I remember sometime on a platform like this, I had to share on discipline and punishment. Now, let me give you an example. You know, you would say, wow, that child is so neat, he does everything well, he's well disciplined. That doesn't mean that child had a riddle with licks. It's something in the training. So I want to clarify a bit in terms of what discipline is and in terms of punishment. And as a parent, yes, we are not going to use all the barbarity like cut spoon and go over whip and all these things to beat. It is where we have to punish when they may do something or deviate from what was taught. All right? But I always, as parents, we would know what and to the level of force we can use. Right? No one is saying that you cannot punish, and there are different alternative ways as well in terms of you may take something away from them and so forth. And you know, some parents will say like fed up talk, but we need to continue to talk as we go by. You know, sometimes I remember in my time when I was being punished, you know, my mother would she would tell you the reason why you get this is because at that time it was so annoying, you beat me and then you come to tell me the reason why. But now you're seeing it, and it comes again, it builds in with the communication and stuff within the family. So we are not saying no that you cannot. But sometimes, you know, in unfortunate circumstances, we have parents who would take it at different levels. Put children hand over fire and so forth. And these are things we say definitely no to. You cannot teach a child anything when you do that. All right.
We have another caller on the line.
Good morning, welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning. You hear me? Good morning.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes. Caller from Tobago. I just concerned about, I heard, listen to the lady talking, I don't remember her name now. And I'm hearing her saying in one of her moment of explaining certain things about the family and so on. And I heard her said, the female, she was talking about relationship, and she was talking about the female beating upon her husband, so they were going through a time of conflict, and so she would ask that kind of question to the female and so on. You know, that would have triggered something inside of me in a good way, because somehow we are not seeing the fact that men are being so much abused in the home, that some of the times, yes, it ends up into even detrimental situation, which is very terrible and not appreciated at all. And sometimes bad abuse to the women and so on. But you know what? I wish that even in the churches and different areas, they could probably come in if you have to call, so maybe the church have to ask for it or so, and they could assist, because in a situation where you know of a couple and there's abuse in the family, especially the female side of it, it is very difficult to deal with how to report that matter and who should report the matter and so on. And I was just wondering, you know, if there's a special area or person that you could talk to or call in a situation like that.
Thank you for your call. Would you want to tackle that? Because I was not hearing.
It was not clear at all. I did not hear what he said. So you have to kind of give me a little summary as to what he asked.
I actually he was speaking so quickly that I did not get all that he was saying, but he was asking in part if there are ways in which the church can be sensitized, or people can be sensitized to deal with abuse in the community. If I think it's gender-based, but against the male, that's what I think I was hearing.
Okay, all right. So what I would say is that whenever maybe our ministry, I know other ministry will do it as well, would have the different training out there. It's not because you're part of a faith-based organization, you cannot partake. You can partake in it. So when we have all these free training rolling out, it's critical to be a part of it, to help with your organization. So you would know even how to tweak and how to treat as well. Because even though, as a church, we may know a lot of things, but sometimes the actual therapeutic part. So when that training comes, it will help. All right? So I often encourage persons to do it. So when you something being displayed in community center, some sort of training, be a part of it. You live in a community, your church or whatever in a community, you be a part of it.
I'm going to change the question I wanted to ask.
Mm-hmm.
What is the responsibility of the hearer of a complaint or an issue or something has happened? Let's say someone came to you as a pastor or as a teacher. Is there a legal responsibility for reporting that abuse to another authority?
In terms of a child or so forth?
Yes.
If a child goes to a pastor, just as myself as a social worker, you would have to make that report. So you have to go to the police to make that report, and then there are different steps to follow. They will take it from there. But we all as citizens, we have a responsibility. If such news comes to us, we have to make such a report. Including myself as a social worker, I cannot stay quiet on that. I would have to make a report, and then they would take necessary steps in terms of the medical examination and so forth.
I just wanted to make that point.
To make that clear. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, I have to mention that your ministry is also offering COVID relief, but I need you to articulate how that is done so that we're very clear from the community what the expectation is.
For the grant. Now, remember, right now, there are two being distributed. We have the salary relief, which is under the NI, the National Insurance Board. All right? Our ministry, and I want to make that clear because sometimes persons kind of mix it up. We are doing the income support grant. And the income support grant is for those without an NIS number. All right? Meaning, yes, you were working, but you weren't paying NIS contribution. If you were, you have to go to NIS. If not, so for example, you may have hairdressers, you may have barbers and so forth. These are the persons who will come to us for the income support. And if it is you're working, as I said, as a barber or wherever, from the 1st of May, if you have lost your income, from the 1st of May, then you're eligible to apply. And the grant is only for the month of May, $1,500. If it is from the 8th of May you have lost your job, you would receive $1,000 for the month of May. So I want to make sure clarify the term for our ministry is the income support grant, and its own the applications are done online. Now some persons may say, I don't have a computer or so forth. You can use your smartphone as well to fill out the application form. All right.
Could you give us your website, please?
Website? It's www.social.gov.tt.
www.social.gov.tt.
TT, correct. Yes.
And you're applying if you are not paying NIS.
Right.
If you've not paid NIS, but you've lost your employment, you can apply for those two levels of support.
Correct. Yes. And again, as I said, it's from the 1st of May. So some person might come and tell you, I lost my job since February. Effective 1st of May. All right. Mm-hmm. These are the persons that are eligible to apply for the income support grant.
And it's a 1 month.
For 1 month. Yes. Yes. That's all the information I have thus far. For 1 month.
Mm-hmm. We're winding down. It's now 8:58, and we're winding down. Are there any statements, encouragements that you want to give to the community of Trinidad and Tobago and all of those listening to us in Boston who wish they were here in this lovely sunshine?
Yes. I just want to emphasize how important family values are. And there's one value I didn't really get to touch on, but I was just going to mention it, is forgiveness. Oftentimes, you know, and these trying times, and this season that we are in with this pandemic, persons, you know, we have grudges with this one and that one, and we all need each other during this time, be it prayer support, be it food, what have you. And if you look back, okay, I don't talk to Errol, you know, I don't talk to and everyone has an opportunity to help me in one way or the other, and we are at a disadvantage. So I'm encouraging persons, now is the time to really mend those bridges, build our relationships, turn a new page, move forward. And to Trinidad and Tobago, again, I would say that in this time, as families, you come together, work on your values. It have nothing to do in terms of where you live, what you have, how much money in your bank. Every family has values, and they need to understand that, and to know that, and to believe and work with that. All right? So those are my closing remarks in terms of building your family values, but in doing that, you will push forward in building a stronger family unit.
Let me ask you to exercise forgiveness on my part this morning for not giving you time to talk about forgiveness.
You are forgiven. I got to bring it in. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm quite sure you'll be back sometime and we'll continue this discussion. But it's so nice having you here this morning representing the ministry. Please give my regards to your minister. Okay?
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too.
This is Forever Young on Isaac 98.1 FM, The Promise.
I want to say special thanks to Uncle Brother J. Errol Lewis and our representative from the ministry for that program. Because that it was an enlightening one, and you can look forward to another installment next week from 8 to 9 a.m. This is where we say our goodbyes. As always, want to send love and blessings to my parents, Cuthbert Joseph the Bishop, and his beautiful wife, my mom, Celine, as well as my beautiful wife, Avanel. I love you so much. I love you. Handsome son, Amani Christoph. Could not do it without you guys. As always, want to let you know, don't package your dream to fit within your budget. DJ Mickey is up next. Stay with us, Isaac 981.
The National Family Services Division of the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services extends its support and commitment to individuals and households that may be feeling overwhelmed, confused, depressed, or anxious due to the impact of COVID-19. If you or a loved one is in need of counseling, advice, or simply feel insecure or lonely, please call the National Family Services Division at 623-2608, extensions 6701 and 6707. Or you may call the ministry's toll-free hotline at 800-1MSD. That's 800-1673. The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, helping, empowering, transforming lives. This was a production of the Information Division, Office of the Prime Minister, Communications.
Family is the bedrock of our society.
As the world continues to adjust to the new realities that are before us, we must ensure that our families are protected and remain resilient.
The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services presents It's Family Time. Let's Talk, with special features to include the impact of COVID-19.
Join us every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. as we take a deeper look into how this pandemic has affected our mental state, our parenting skills, and our relationships with our children, spouses, the elderly, persons with disabilities, those living with HIV and AIDS, and ourselves.
Remember, stay home, stay safe, save lives.
The Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, helping, empowering, transforming lives. This Saturday's topic, family values and communication within the family, with speaker, family services social worker, and Nuala Cox-Olubade. You don't want to miss it.
We got what you want, we got what you need for your family. 981 The Promise.
In a world where radio stations are many, there is only one that caters for the entire family.
981 The Promise.
Bringing the gospel to everyone. Isaac 98.1 FM The Promise.
981 The Promise.
Radio for the entire family.
I'm Dr. Margaret Elcock, President, Founder of LVN Isaac. 2021 is here. The stage is set for a global revival, a mighty move of God transcending all boundaries, all peoples, all nations, as the Church of Jesus Christ unites to fight the forces of darkness in these last and closing days. The battle intensifies, but in the midst of the darkness, the glory of God shines forth as the people worship God in spirit and in truth and in the beauty of holiness. We join with the angels and the elders singing, "Holy, holy, holy, Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come." Revelation chapter 4:8. The time has come for change. The will of God must be established. His glory must thunder through the atmosphere to infiltrate the airwaves, the media, and all the social media platforms. His voice must be heard. Our location is global, our method virtual, our message consistent and unchanging. We serve the awesome Almighty God Jehovah. We are one in spirit, united in Christ with one vision, one mission, one goal, to go into all the world and make disciples in preparation for his return. Matthew 28:16. We must prepare ourselves with repentance, humility, prayer, and seeking his face for direction so that he will forgive us and heal our nations. 2 Chronicles 7:14. The pandemic has changed our perspective, removed our boundaries, united us in an unprecedented way. We need each other. We are closer together now more than ever before. The time to act is now. Let us wake up, church, and fulfill the purpose for which we have all been called, to take the message of the kingdom to the nations of the earth. Revival 2021 and beyond is a move of God calling the entire body of Christ together to initiate that change. Let us all get on board. FBN, a symbol of strength, stability, innovation, leadership, and authority.
This Sunday,